Fitness. We wanted to just take a quick preview for you. I know you'll get plenty more of this in the coming days, but 3 o'clock Saturday is where you need to be, in front of Radio 5 Live, and we'll have full match commentary of England's quarter-final in the World Cup against Sweden. And it's a big day for Sweden as much as it is for England, because it's the first time for the Swedes that they've been so far in the World Cup for 24 years. This is how Radio Sweden's commentary team reacted to their winner against Switzerland earlier on Tuesday. This goal scored by Emil Forsberg.
Tillbaka till Forsberg. Forsberg kan skjuta. Skjut Forsberg. I mål! I mål! I mål! Emil Forsberg, 1-0 Sverige!
I wonder if John Murray's starring on Swedish radio as we speak. Watching that from a packed bar in Stockholm was British freelance journalist Maddie Savage. Hi, Maddie.
Yeah.
Nice to talk to you. And from his British pub, the Tudor Arms in Stockholm, landlord Chris Billows. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Phil.
Maddie, I'll start with you. Give us, first of all, the mood for the Sweden victory and what the feeling is there about facing England.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely buzzing few hours here in Stockholm. This is, you say, a real big deal for Sweden. A small country, around 10 million people, hasn't made an appearance in the World Cup quarterfinals since 1994. And there was a huge amount of hype ahead of this game against Switzerland. People clocked off work early, filled the streets around Stockholm wearing their yellow-blue shirts. They'd sold out at the sports store closest to the bar where I was watching in, much to the disappointment of some fans. Now, Swedes can be a bit of an understated crowd when watching sport, when attending gigs. I was in a basement bar in a bit of a hipster neighbourhood, and people just went wild. It was a bit of a scrappy win, but when it was clear that Sweden had won, were going through, a lot of noise was made. And there's been an outpouring of love for the national team on social media. This hashtag Sverige stannar, which means Sweden is staying, has been trending this evening. And a lot of people stayed out, of course, to find out who they would take on in the quarterfinals. We now know, of course, that will be England. A lot of cheering for Colombia in the bar that I was in, but it wasn't to be. And they will be facing England on Saturday.
Chris, what about you? What was it like in the Tudor Arms?
Oh, it's chock-a-block. You know, it's absolutely fantastic. The feelings were great, and you know, we thought we were through right to the last minute until that last goal, and then extra time. But the penalties, it's very difficult to explain how to. We have a bar right across the road from us, and the whole street is completely full of people, even for the English match. And we've had a double whammy today: the Sweden game this afternoon and the England game this evening. It's been absolutely a fantastic day. It's really been fantastic.
Are you going to have to ticket it to restrict numbers on Saturday?
Well, we have to restrict numbers already now, so I'm not, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, and I have to start thinking how we're going to work this one, but because we're all chock-a-block for the Swedish matches, and we're all chock-a-block for the English matches. Now, England against Sweden on Saturday, we've got to actually have a look at how we're going to sort this one out.
Have you got any spare outside space?
Well, before, this is the first time we haven't had tellies on the street. Every EM and BM, we've had 4 or 5 TVs on the streets, but we haven't done this year for certain reasons, and it would have been fantastic, but, that option's not off yet.
Right, okay. So some planning to be done for you. And,
yes, there's definitely planning, yeah.
Maddie, what about you now? Are you gaining a sense from the Swedish people that you speak to how they feel about facing England?
It's a real mixed bag, actually. There's a lot of social media jokes about England heading for a Brexit and Sweden sorting them out. A lot of talk about about England's previous record at penalty shootouts. So a bit of banter going on social media. Some of the commentaries a bit different, really. On SVT, which is Swedish public television, Swedish version of the BBC, they're being quite cautious. They're using language like, do we dare to talk about the semi-finals? Do we dare to talk about the finals? And there's this thing in Sweden called the law of Jante, which basically means that you shouldn't think that you're better than anyone else. Swedes are very modest. So chatting to fans tonight, a lot of them a little bit cautious about saying that they can go for it. But on the other hand, quite a lot of love for the Swedish team in the tabloids. A lot of people saying how well the team have done without their star players. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he's usually the one scoring all the goals, not taking part in this tournament. due to retirement from international football, and a lot of people saying that the team have been strong. There's been strong team spirit, a lot of determination. They've beaten some other big teams so far, so who knows?
Do you know what, Chris? It struck me this round of 16. It's been quite hard to predict any quarter-final, hasn't it? Because, you know, even France, who had that stunning victory against Argentina, conceded 3 goals. So you've not seen any one side go, you know, perhaps Brazil were the clearest.
Well, the thing is, one's never actually hoped that England could get this far, or even Sweden can get this far. And I mean, you don't plan anything in advance. It just feels great the situation we're in at the moment. It actually feels really good that both Sweden and England are through to the quarterfinals. Now, what happens after that, we don't know.
Have you been hit by this CO2 shortage, or are you okay?
No, we actually haven't at the moment. Not at the moment. We're okay.
So the pumps are full.
We've still got plenty of beer. No problem.
Yeah, good. Okay. And are you going to have to take another order before Saturday?
No, we've actually stocked up. We've got tons of stuff. There's no problem.
Great. Okay. Well, look, I wish you well with the planning, and I hope you can accommodate everybody who wants to watch it at the Tudor Arms in Stockholm. Nice to talk to you, Chris.
Thanks, Phil.
That's Chris Billows who runs that. And what about you, Maddie, then? You're in this unique situation, aren't you, where you're out there working as a journalist and, you know, who will you be cheering on, do I need to ask, and where will you be watching it?
Well, British expat living in Stockholm, very much feel it's my adopted home. I'm actually going to a festival that your guest Joe might be really interested in. It's a sport, health, yoga and music festival in the middle of nowhere. So I'm already